Hey, this is Cody from Landers Networking. We're just kind of going to go over a little bit of basics of the physical layer of networking. If you don't know what the physical layer is, go ahead and check the last video. Last video was about networking models and how certain protocols and stuff reside in those models. We're just going to be going over like the physical realm, what we deal with every single day, kind of get the fundamentals understood to be able to go over it and be able to reference it later. So check out for more videos. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. What we have here at the top is the different types of Ethernet cables. So we have 10 base T, 100 base T, 1000 base T, and 10 gig base T, 10G base T. There is also a fiber here we're not really much going over, but this is primarily the different iterations of Ethernet cables that have come out. Now, what is an Ethernet cable though? Ethernet cable is what you see here in the blue. This is what we know to be able to connect our laptops or our computers to a router, to be able to get out to the internet and everything like that. They serve a bigger purpose than that, but it's generally what they are used for. Now, they can come in two different types, in unshielded twisted pair or shielded twisted pair. Now, what is twisted pair? Why is it twisted? Primarily, it's twisted to reduce incoming noise and electromagnetic interference. The twisting allows it to be able to be resilient to those effects, which can cause issues. But primarily, the shielded twisted pair are surrounded by a aluminum foil to be able to help reduce that noise. You normally use these in higher security areas, also with maybe putting Ethernet through walls and stuff like that, just to be able to make sure that no outside noise will be getting into your copper wire. As you can see with the different types of Ethernet, you can see that there are different like bandwidths, and they're also referred to by different names. So we can call them 100 base T or 10 base T, 1000 base T, or we could refer to them by their common name, which is this is an Ethernet standard, fast Ethernet standard, gig Ethernet standard, and 10 gig Ethernet standard. These are more commonly used in the actual networking equipment itself. Like a fast Ethernet interface, you can expect it to only be able to handle 100 megabits per second. But that is a common terminology to use. Now, what would an Ethernet cable be if it didn't connect to something? So we will be kind of also looking at this, which is a NIC, referred to as a NIC. It's abbreviated for Network Interface Controller. Essentially, any computer that has a interface to it, whether it be wired or wireless, will have this if they want to be able to connect through the network. So this has a bunch of like chips on it and processors to be able to process the incoming and outgoing data. That way it doesn't have to be from your computer necessarily to do it. And these tend to be embedded. Now this example right here is a card, but a lot of times with like laptops and motherboards and stuff like that, it's embedded on the actual like motherboard itself. This just so happens to be a card that you can slot in and slot out. And you can see the different types of processors on it relatively easy. Now, the other picture that I have over here going on is basically the wires. You can see that they're all individual wires. These wires will be used for different things, sending data, receiving data. They tend to be there so that you can have a good understanding of how data is flowing, which directions and everything. Now this will also be important later when we talk about crossover and straight through cabling. But as for right now, all you need to know is this is how it is formatted for a connection. Another interesting point to make note of is the connection at the end here. This is the male connection for a Ethernet cable. It's referred to as an RJ45. That is just the physical connection for this right here. This is going to be a female RJ45 to be able to connect in and out of. And that's pretty much it. You just need to know that The only other thing really to mention here is that there is 100 meters for the distance of Ethernet cable, copper Ethernet cable. You can obviously see here that fiber goes a much further distance here, but this is to let you know how far you can take an Ethernet cable. Now, if you do end up needing an Ethernet cable longer than this, which they hardly make them because they don't standardly go that distance, that far anyways. If you need anything longer, normally you're going to need some kind of amplifier or some kind of like just another switch or router to be able to connect to, and it will re-amplify the signal for you before it starts sending it out. With that being said, this is kind of like your introduction to understanding the physical world of networking, to be able to understand how it all physically connects together. Later down the line, we'll be kind of going over the standards of which that they use on layer 2 to be able to give a good understanding of how it all fits together, kind of like build that foundation and work our way up to be able to understand the more complicated layers as is. I hope you enjoyed, and see you in the next one.